I watched my brother through the rain-streaked window as he handed my car keys to a stranger. He didn't know I was there. He didn't know about the files. Some secrets don't stay buried. They just wait for the right person to dig them up. My name is Aurora Kane. Everyone calls me Rory. I'm a police officer in Boulder, Colorado. And this is the story of how I put my own brother behind bars. It started on a Tuesday morning, cold, gray. The kind of day that makes you want to stay in bed, but I was at the precinct, going through old case files like I did every week, missing persons, unsolved accidents. Cold cases that haunted me at night. Then my phone buzzed. Rory. Your brother's at Murphy's Auto trying to sell your Jeep, my friend Cassidy said. She worked as a prosecutor and had eyes everywhere. Thought you should know. My blood went cold. What? Yeah, right now with some sketchy guy named Clint Harrow. Oh. I grabbed my jacket and ran the whole drive there. My mind was racing. Dexter was selling my car. The one I told him never to touch? The one I kept locked in the garage. Something was wrong. Very wrong. I pulled up to Murphy's Auto and parked across the street, through the window. I could see Dexter laughing with a fat man in a cheap suit. That had to be Clint Harrow. My Jeep was parked between them. And Dexter was waving his hands like he was telling some big story. I got out and walked toward them slowly. Dexter! I called out. He froze. His face went white. Rory! Hey! I was just selling my car? I crossed my arms. Without asking me? Clint looked confused. Wait, this is your car? Yeah, I said, staring at my brother. It is. Dexter laughed nervously. Look, Rory, I can explain. I just need some cash fast, okay? I'll pay you back. Get away from my car. Rory. Please. Now. He stepped back, hands up. Clint was watching us like we were a TV show. I walked to the Jeep and opened the driver's door. Everything looked normal, too normal, like someone had cleaned it. Deep cleaned it, then I opened the trunk, and that's when Clint said the words that changed everything. Hey lady, you know there's a whole box of police files back there? My stomach dropped. I looked inside. There, under a blanket, was a cardboard box. I pulled it out and opened it. Inside were files, my files. Cases I'd been working on, and right on top was one I'd closed 6 months ago. Lena Crow, accidental death. Fall from cliff. My hands started shaking. 6 months earlier I'd been called to a scene just outside Boulder. A hiking trail near Stonecrest Lodge. A college girl named Lena Crow had fallen from a cliff. At least, that's what everyone said. Her body was found at the bottom of a ravine. Head injury, broken neck. The medical examiner ruled it accidental. Case closed, but I'd always felt weird about it. Something didn't fit. The angle of the fall, the timing. The fact that she was at a party that night, but no one saw her leave. And now, here was her file, in my trunk, in the car my brother had been driving that night. I looked at Dexter. Why is this in my car? He swallowed hard. I don't know. Maybe you left it there. I don't take case files home, Dexter. Well, I don't know how it got there. Clint was watching us closely now, too closely. I slammed the trunk shut. Forget the sale, I told Clint. This car's not for sale. I got in and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I saw Dexter standing there. Frozen, he looked terrified. Good back home. I locked myself in my room and went through the file again, every page, every photo. Every report. Lena Crow, 22 years old. Art student. Beautiful, free-spirited. She'd been at a party at Stonecrest Lodge the night she died. Over 50 people were there, including my brother. I felt sick. I kept reading. The witness statements were thin. Most people were drunk. A guy named Logan Price said he threw up in someone's car that night. Some Jeep in the parking lot. My Jeep, and then I found something strange. In one of the photos of Lena's body, she wasn't wearing any jewelry. But in photos from earlier that same night, photos from social media, she was wearing a necklace. A big, expensive-looking gold necklace with a red stone in the center. Where did it go? I searched the file. No mention of it, no follow-up. It was like no one even noticed. But I noticed. The next day, I went to the garage and searched my Jeep. Top to bottom, under the seats, In the glove box, behind the visors, I found something small but damning. A broken gold clasp wedged under the passenger seat. Engraved inside were two tiny words, Hartley and Sons, Denver. My pulse spiked. This wasn't just any clasp, it belonged to Lena's necklace. The same one missing from her body, it was hers. I sat there for a long time, holding it in my hand. My mind was spinning. Lena had been in my car and she'd lost her necklace, which meant she didn't fall from a cliff. She died in my car, and was Dexter there? I couldn't go to my captain, not yet. I had no proof. Just a necklace and a bad feeling. So I did what I do best. I started digging first. I looked up the necklace. It wasn't just any necklace. It was custom made by a jeweler in Denver, worth over $10,000. The jeweler's name was on a tiny engraving inside the clasp. Hartley and Sons, Denver, I called them. Hi. I'm looking for information on a custom piece, gold chain. Red stone pendant. The woman on the phone hesitated. Can I ask who's calling? Officer Aurora Kane, Boulder PD. Oh, let me check. A minute later, she came back. Yes. We made that piece 2 years ago. It was purchased by a Mr. Silas Mercer. My heart stopped. Silas Mercer, real estate tycoon, millionaire. Connected to half the politicians in Colorado. Did he buy it for someone? I can't share client details, but it was repaired 3 months ago. Clasp was broken. We have a receipt. Can you send me a copy? I'll need a warrant. I'll get you one. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Lena. About Silas Mercer. About my brother. What happened that night? I grabbed my laptop and started searching social media. I typed in Lena Crow and scrolled through her old posts. And then I saw it, a photo from the night she died. She was at the party, smiling, wearing that necklace. The caption said, "Best night ever." Hashtag Stonecrest Lodge, hashtag blessed. But it was the comments that got me. One comment from a user named at MarinKane22 said, "That necklace is everything. Can I borrow it sometime?" Marin, my little sister, I drove to Marin's apartment at midnight. I didn't call first. I just showed up and knocked. She opened the door in pajamas, looking confused. Rory? What's wrong? I walked inside. Where is it? Where's what? The necklace, Marin. Her face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. I shouted. I saw your comment on Lena's post. You wanted that necklace and now it's missing. Where is it? She started crying. Rory, I swear I didn't. Tell me the truth. She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. Okay, Dexter gave it to me. My blood turned to ice. When? A few days after that girl died, he said he found it in your car. He said it was no big deal. He said I could keep it. Where is it now? She pointed to her bedroom. In my jewelry box. When she handed it over. My blood ran cold. It was Lena's. Same red stone, same chain. Except this one had a brand new clasp. Perfectly repaired. That's when everything clicked. Lena died in my car. Dexter covered it up. Silas Mercer paid to repair the necklace. And now I had the proof in my hands. I looked at Marin. Did Dexter tell you anything else? She shook her head. No, I swear, I didn't know it was connected to that. I believed her. Marin wasn't a liar. She was just caught in the middle, but Dexter. He knew exactly what he was doing. Over the next 2 weeks, I worked in secret. I pulled phone records. I checked CCTV footage from the night of the party. I interviewed witnesses again. Off the record, and slowly, the truth came together. Lena had been at the party with Silas Mercer. They were seeing each other secretly. Because he was married at some point, she got into my Jeep with Dexter. Maybe she thought he'd drive her home. Maybe she trusted him, but something went wrong. Logan Price's statement said he threw up in a Jeep around midnight, which meant Dexter was still at the party then, which meant Lena was already in the car. I found CCTV footage from a gas station 2 miles from Stonecrest at 12:47 a.m. My Jeep pulled in. Dexter was driving alone. But he wasn't alone when he left the party, which meant Lena was already dead. I confronted Dexter at his apartment. I didn't tell him I was coming. I just showed up with the necklace, the CCTV footage, and a recorder in my pocket. We need to talk, I said. He tried to play it cool. About what? About Lena Crow. His face went blank. I don't know who that is. Yes. You do, she was in my car the night she died. And you were driving. He didn't say anything. I found the necklace. Dexter, I have footage, I have phone records. I know you were with her. He sat down slowly, staring at the floor. It was an accident, he whispered. Then why didn't you call the police? Because Silas told me not to. There it was, Silas Mercer? I asked, he nodded. She was his girlfriend. They were fighting that night. She got upset and asked me to drive her home. I said okay, but she was drunk. She was crying. She kept hitting the dashboard, saying she wanted to die, and then she hit her head, hard, on the window frame, and she just stopped moving. I felt sick. And you didn't call 911? I panicked. I called Silas. He told me to make it look like an accident. He said he'd protect me. He said he'd take care of everything. So you threw her off a cliff? Dexter started crying. I didn't want to. But he said if I didn't, I'd go to jail. He said no one would believe me. So I did it. And then I cleaned the car. And I thought it was over. It's not over, I said. It's never over. I took the recording to Cassidy. The prosecutor, she listened to the whole thing, her face getting harder with every word. This is enough, she said. We can arrest him. Not yet, I said. I want Silas too. She raised an eyebrow. You think you can get him? I know I can. I set up a sting, with help from an undercover agent named Jackson Reeve. We created a fake buyer interested in my Jeep. We leaked the story to a reporter named Ivy Blackwell, who ran a piece about the missing necklace tied to Lena's death. The necklace went viral. Within days, Silas panicked. He called Dexter. We recorded everything. You need to get rid of that car, Silas said. Now. I tried. My sister found the files. I don't care. Burn it, dump it. I don't care, just make it disappear, but it was too late. We had everything 2 weeks later. Dexter and Silas were arrested. I thought it was over. I thought I could move on, but one night, I got a text from an unknown number. You think you've won? But someone's still watching. I looked out my window. A black car was parked across the street. And someone was inside, watching me. The fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. The next morning, I went straight to Cassidy's office. I showed her the text. Someone knows what I did, I said. Someone's threatening me. She looked worried. Could be one of Silas's people. He has connections everywhere. I know. That's what scares me. She leaned back in her chair. Rory, you did the right thing, but powerful men like Silas don't go down quietly. They have friends, dangerous friends. So, what do I do? You stay alert. You watch your back and you trust no one. I left her office feeling more scared than ever. For the first time, I wondered if turning in my own brother was worth it. But then I thought of Lena, a girl with her whole life ahead of her. A girl who died alone and afraid in my car while my brother did nothing. Yes, it was worth it. The trial started 3 weeks later. The courthouse was packed. News cameras everywhere. Ivy Blackwell, the reporter who broke the story, was there with her crew. People were calling it the trial of the year. I sat in the back, watching. Dexter looked small in his orange jumpsuit. He wouldn't look at me. Not once. Silas, on the other hand, looked confident. He wore an expensive suit. His lawyer was the best money could buy. He smiled at the cameras like he was running for office. It made me sick. The prosecutor Cassidy stood up and began her opening statement. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case is about power. It's about a young woman named Lena Crow who trusted the wrong people. And it's about 2 men who chose to cover up her death rather than face the consequences of their actions. She pointed at Dexter. This man drove the car she died in. He knew she was hurt. He knew she needed help. And instead of calling 911, he called him. She pointed at Silas. And this man, a millionaire, a so-called pillar of the community, told him to throw her body off a cliff and make it look like an accident. Because that was easier than the truth. The room was silent. Cassidy continued. But the truth has a way of coming out. Thanks to Officer Aurora Kane, who never stopped searching for answers. We now know what really happened that night. And today, we will prove it. I felt tears sting my eyes. This was for Lena. This was for every girl who never got justice. The first witness was Logan Price, the guy who threw up in my Jeep. He looked nervous on the stand. Mr. Price, can you tell us what you remember from that night? Cassidy asked. Yeah. I was at the party at Stonecrest Lodge. I drank too much. I went outside to get some air. And I threw up in someone's Jeep. And do you remember who that Jeep belonged to? Not at the time, but later I heard it was Dexter Kane's sister's car. Did you see anyone else near that Jeep? Yeah, Dexter was there, and there was a girl with him. She was sitting in the passenger seat. She looked upset, crying, I think. Did you see her face? Not really, it was dark, but she had long hair. And she was wearing something shiny around her neck. Like a necklace. Murmurs filled the courtroom. Cassidy held up a photo of Lena wearing the necklace. Does this look like the girl you saw? Logan squinted at the photo. Yeah, that could be her. Silas's lawyer jumped up. Objection! The witness said he didn't see her face. He can't identify her. The judge nodded. Sustained. But it didn't matter. The jury had seen the photo. They were already connecting the dots. Next. Cassidy called the jeweler from Denver. An older man with glasses. Mr. Hartley. Can you tell us about this necklace? She showed him the evidence bag with Lena's necklace inside. Yes, I made this piece 2 years ago, custom order. It was purchased by Mr. Silas Mercer. The courtroom erupted. People were whispering. Cameras were flashing. The judge banged his gavel. Order. Cassidy smiled. And did Mr. Mercer bring it back for repairs? Yes, the clasp was broken. We fixed it and returned it to him. So this necklace belonged to Silas Mercer, and it was last seen on Lena Crow the night she died. Is that correct? Yes, ma'am. Silas's lawyer stood up, red-faced. Objection! This proves nothing. Mr. Mercer could have given the necklace to Miss Crow as a gift. Cassidy turned to the jury. A gift from a married man. To a young woman he was secretly involved with. A woman who is now dead. The jury looked at Silas like he was a monster. Then it was my turn to testify. I walked to the stand, heart pounding. Cassidy asked me to walk through everything. Finding the file in the trunk, the necklace under the seat, the CCTV footage, the phone records. And when did you realize your brother was involved? She asked. I looked at Dexter. He was staring at the table. When I found the necklace, I said, I knew Lena had been in my car. And I knew Dexter had been driving it that night. Everything pointed to him. That must have been difficult. Turning in your own brother. I nodded, tears filling my eyes. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But Lena deserved justice. She deserved the truth. Thank you. Officer Kane. Silas's lawyer stood up for cross-examination. He was tall, with slicked back hair and a nasty smile. Officer Kane, isn't it true that you were desperate for a promotion? That you needed a big case to make yourself look good? No, I said. Isn't it true that you planted evidence to frame your brother and my client? No. I said louder. I would never. Isn't it true that you've always been jealous of your brother? That you wanted to ruin his life? I stood up shaking. My brother killed someone. He threw a girl off a cliff and let everyone believe it was an accident. I didn't ruin his life, he ruined his own. The judge banged his gavel. Settle down. But I didn't care. I looked right at the jury. Lena Crow was 22 years old. She had dreams, she had a family, she had a future. And 2 men took that away from her because it was convenient. Because they were cowards. The courtroom was silent. I sat back down, breathing hard. Cassidy squeezed my shoulder as she walked past. "You did great," she whispered. Then came the moment I'd been waiting for. Cassidy played the recording. Dexter's voice filled the courtroom. "It was an accident. She hit her head. I panicked." I called Silas, and Silas's voice. "You need to get rid of that car. Burn it, dump it, I don't care. Just make it disappear." The jury looked horrified. Silas's face went pale. His lawyer whispered something in his ear. But Silas just shook his head. He knew it was over. After 2 days of deliberation, the jury came back. "We find the defendant, Dexter Kane, guilty of manslaughter and obstruction of justice." Dexter dropped his head into his hands. "We find the defendant, Silas Mercer, guilty of accessory to manslaughter, obstruction of justice, and tampering with evidence." Silas didn't move. He just stared straight ahead like he couldn't believe it. The judge sentenced Dexter to 10 years. Silas got 20. Lena's mother sobbed in the front row. I went over and hugged her. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for not giving up on her." I cried with her. "I'm sorry I didn't find the truth sooner. You found it. That's what matters." After the trial, I tried to go back to normal, but normal didn't exist anymore. People at the precinct treated me differently. Some called me a hero. Others called me a traitor for turning in family. I didn't care what they thought. I knew I did the right thing. But the text messages didn't stop. "You made a big mistake. You should have stayed quiet. We know where you live," I reported them. I changed my number. I even moved apartments. But the fear never left. 3 months after the trial, the snow was just beginning to melt on the edges of the parking lot when I stepped out of the grocery store. Arms full of paper bags, the evening was gray and thin. The kind of sky that makes shadows look longer than they are. That's when I saw him, a man in a black jacket, standing perfectly still across the rows of cars, watching me. I froze mid-step, my heart hammering in my ears. He began to move, slow, deliberate. Weaving between parked cars like he had all the time in the world, my hand slid to the grip of my gun. Instinct taking over before my brain caught up. "Officer Kane?" He called out, voice calm but carrying. I stopped, feet planted on the cold asphalt. "Who are you?" He raised his hands, palms out, like a man approaching a skittish animal. "My name is Gage Rourke. I worked for Silas Mercer." My blood turned to ice. The name was still poison in my mouth. "Stay back," I said, drawing the weapon just enough for him to see it. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said, eyes flicking left and right. "I'm here to warn you." "Warn me about what?" My voice came out sharper than I intended. "Silas has people on the outside," Gage said quietly. "People who are very loyal. People who don't forget." My grip tightened. "Is that a threat?" He shook his head. "No, it's a fact. You embarrassed powerful people. They don't forgive that." "Then why are you telling me this?" He looked past me for a moment, at the horizon, like he was seeing somewhere far away. "Because I'm tired of working for monsters," he said finally. "What happened to that girl?" "It wasn't right. You did a brave thing. But bravery has a price. For a heartbeat." Neither of us moved, then he turned and walked away, melting into the crowd of shoppers until he was just another dark shape in the fading light. I stood there in the middle of the parking lot, groceries digging into my fingers, shaking so hard I thought I'd drop them that night. In my new apartment, with all the lights blazing like a fortress, I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the floorboards, every car passing outside made me jump. My badge lay on the kitchen counter like a piece of someone else's life. I thought about Lena, her necklace, her smile on that last photo. I thought about Dexter, my brother. Now just another inmate number. I thought about Silas Mercer, still pulling strings even from behind steel bars. I thought about the price of justice. Was it worth it, losing my brother, losing my peace? Waking up every day to look over my shoulder. I turned the photo of Lena on my desk face up. In it she was laughing, head tilted, the red stone of her necklace catching the light. Alive, unbroken, yes, it was worth it, because someone had to speak for her. Someone had to care when everyone else looked away. Even though I was scared, even though the future felt like a dark hallway with no end. One thing burned clear inside me. I would do it all over again. Every risk, every choice, the fight wasn't over. Someone was still watching, but this time, I wasn't just a rookie with a badge, this time I was ready.